Yo, what's going on, guys? This is part 2 of the mini-series here, bringing you a plus 20 Halls of Atonement. This is our first shot of redemption after that Plague Fall attempt. We're going to start off with a big pool to the left shard. Our main priority is to CC the Houndmaster. That way we can avoid any cast of Loyal Beast on the Gargants here. There's typically the most damage done in the dungeon is from these Gargants, and then we also want to just avoid the rapid fire from them as well. At the start of a pool like this, I typically wait until everything's grouped up before I start damaging. It's very important as a rogue that we understand that we can kick targets in to help get things clustered faster. I start out with a traditional Shuriken Storm and Black Powder combo, alternating and spending my 5 combo points. At 8 or more targets, I opt to go ahead and just spam Black Powder instead of getting Slice and Dice up. There are 3 spells to be interrupted here. We have the Wicked Bolts, we also have Collect Sins, and then we have the Curse of Suppression. I failed to do so, but I believe Collect Sins is the interrupt target of choice here. Does tons of damage to our tank. The next one I would probably choose to kick would be the Wicked Bolts in my case, because we have a Mage and a Shaman that can cleanse the dot that comes from it. Our team takes a ton of damage here. Looking back, I would have swapped out for doing priority damage on the shard rather than doing AoE damage to the rest of the pack.
Oh, part there. The Houndmaster came in, started wreaking some havoc.
Needless to say, our first pull didn't go as clean as planned, but we ended up making through the end of the pack. When do you want
Huh?
When do you want
Next pull, I think.
With the shard?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, pull with the shard.
In upcoming videos, I have my audio fixed so you guys can hear me in the gameplay. So look forward to that. Similar to other Shadowlands dungeons, there are Covenant buffs hidden within them. In Halls of Atonement, we have these loyal Stoneborns hidden within each trash pack, and our Covenant ability allows us to capture them for about 30 seconds so they turn and fight with us. On top of the additional damage, they can give us a buff called Stoneborn Boon that grants 10% damage reduction per stack. This is a welcome buff in a dungeon like Halls of Atonement. Again, just focusing down the Houndmasters, that we can avoid the rapid fire and also the Loyal Beast cast. Eventually we'll stop to the Gargants, that way we can CC them at the end, as you see my tank start to kite them when the bleeds get a little bit higher. We also gotta respect the Necrotic stacks, and then the Spitefuls.
We're gonna do these guys, so.
Again, my primary focus in this dungeon is going to be to kick the Wicked Bolts, that way we can reduce the incoming damage, because we have 2 other classes that can cleanse the Curse of Suppression. And then you see us continue with the trend of killing Urs, that we can get the cooldown reduction, so we can spend more time using our big buffs on packs, also get that mana regen and that health regen.
You got sprinty feet.
This is where I run back to grab the Stoneborn, that way we can use the Venthyr buff on the upcoming pool. Gonna go ahead and just throw a Shuriken at it, and then run closer to our pack, and I'll cap it when it gets closer to the target, that way we can keep the buff for longer. Stoneborn also is casting the Stone Breath there, and that's when you see us get the Stoneborn Boon buff. And these packs here, we're kicking the collect sins, and then we're also using personals when the Halkias shard uses Thrash. That we can reduce incoming damage. The last thing you'll see here is these swirlies on the ground. We want to make sure we stand out of those as well.
Rifles, man.
It wouldn't be Spiteful Week if we're not running away from Ghost trying to slap us in the face.
I'm out of range.
This shit feels strong.
I'm out, and everyone else is mounted.
Many deals for a friend of the Grumbles. like you.
Fucked up. As a core, I'll grab him.
Goal here is just to keep interrupting the Houndmaster's Loyal Beast cast, that we avoid the additional 125% to the Gargans. And we also want to pull things in here kind of slowly, being respectful towards the Spiteful and the Necrotic.
I got
Also
the
trying to
Shockwave guys,
avoid
so be
pulling the
careful.
Gargoyle here, that way we can save it for the upcoming Shard Pack as well. So it's important that in Halls of Atonement we kind of watch where we're standing, that way we can get the most out of the buff on packs that are dangerous. I think in most of these packs we end up having awkward grouping situations where we're not getting the AoE damage that we should on all mobs. And most likely I shouldn't have opted to use the single target damage on this Houndmaster. I probably should have gone with the rest of the group there. It's just something to look forward to in following dungeons. That way we can kind of clean things up and reduce the total time you'll spend on our packs.
I'm out of range.
Ooh, those guys hit hard. These guys, then the big group with the dude.
I should have got my Blades, Shuriken Storm, and also my Flagellation on cooldown last pack. This was a mistake on my part. That way I could have got some benefit out of the air buff.
It's making it hard to drop. Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to go ahead and cap the Gargoyle here, that we can get the 10% damage reduction, and then additionally the additional damage that comes from him as a mob itself. These tend to be the most dangerous mobs within the pack, as there are several things to kick, and just flat AoE damage that we have to avoid. For some reason, I end up putting my Shadow Blades on cooldown here. I still would have wanted to use it just on the next pack. Even though it's right before the boss, it still would have been worth it because we had double Ur coming up, and I would have gotten that back anyway. Being that it's fortified week, most of our damage wants to go into these mobs. Bosses tend to be pretty easy. There's a mob I've yet to mention in this pack and then the packs before it. It's the Depraved Darkblade. You'll see them cast Deadly Thrust, and this is just a cone that's right in front of them. If you get hit with this ability, it's pretty much a one-shot. So in hierarchies, we want to make sure that we're using personals or we're just staying out of the area. My group is finishing up with the pack at this point. I see the Houndmaster on the other side of the room start to pat forward, and I use this opportunity to run and grab the Stoneborn across the room. Additionally, we're going to use the Stoneborn that we saved from the pack before it. That way we can double cap here and use them on the boss. Being that it's fortified week, we probably would have got more value out of using them on the mobs. But we also like making quick work of this first boss, as it could be just generally annoying. Halkis is a fairly straightforward boss with slow incoming damage. That's why you see us opt not to use Lust here. You see us choose to use it on the big pool in the start of the dungeon. Big damn, baby.
Bakugans, baby.
The Halkias counter forces the player to stay within this red ring. If a player steps outside of it, Halkias will cast Sunlight Visions, which fears anybody outside of the circle. This is problematic because not only do we lose any healing or damage coming from the party member, it will also be continually spammed. That way they end up running into a mob at some point of the dungeon. And this is something that we just generally want to avoid. Another mechanic you'll see throughout the fight is Halkias using an ability called Glass Shards. This will alternate between the tank and then a random ranged member. Now as a party, we want to make sure that we're consolidating all the glass shards towards where we had been. This will help us set up nice Refracted Sunlights, as this is the final ability within the fight. After 4 casts of glass shards, Halkias will go ahead and cast a Refracted Sunlight. This is where Halkias becomes immobile and starts to channel Sunlight in 4 deadly beams. They'll rotate around the room clockwise or counterclockwise, but be careful because you can switch directions at any time.
Light. Hit every time.
Over here. Over here, over here, over here. Just kill these.
We'll need both sets.
I call for a swap in our route, as we typically end the outside percentage with the right side stairs into the low buff skip. This becomes unfavorable as the Houndmaster pack blocks us in doing such, so we swap gears to use the Rogue Shroud buff instead.
Huh? We'll grab the little dudes. Oh no, that should be enough. Yeah, we're good.
When doing these shroud skips, it's important that you wait for everybody to get mounted up, and then I additionally use sprint here that we can keep as well. For some reason, we end up pulling the mobs and completely failing this skip, but we do end up recovering it at the end.
Awesome.
That's worth it.
Yep. What happened? Hunter pet?
Hunter or something. I don't know. Just let him- Our shaman is able to onk here, which saves a pool because we're able to mass res. Unfortunately, between the accidental pull and the hunter releasing, we end up wasting a ton of time here that we could have used towards the end of the key.
This fucking guy.
I don't have a fucking pot on. Ready?
Ready? Yep.
I need to get closer.
Upon clicking the door, Echelon spawns and knocks the player back. We want to make sure that we focus here, that we can go ahead and get the continual CDR for the damage buff. This is the first boss that we choose to lust, as it typically is the hardest boss within the Halls of Atonement dungeon.
Fucking hell.
We end up losing our mage to the buff slam, at which we always want to make sure that we're dodging.
You got a battle wedge for that guy? That was the
Moving on with the boss fight, Echelon will periodically summon 6 Undying Stone Fiends that surround the area, 3 from each side.
kind of caught between a rock and a hard on that one.
The mobs will run towards the center until they're attacked by the first one, and then they start casting these villainous bolts, which can be interrupted in order to help group up.
I need to get closer.
Now whenever this mob dies, they will go ahead and turn to stone for 30 seconds, and in 30 seconds if they aren't killed by the slam, they're going to go ahead and regenerate and respawn. We want to make sure that we're killing the stone fiends as close as possible. This will make it that when Echelon casts Curse of Stone and follows it with a stone shattering leap, that we can kill them outright,
Thank you for that kick.
permanently removing the ad from the fight. Now it's important that anybody that's hit by the stone shattering leap understands that they're going to get a dot as well that will immediately start destroying their health bar. You'll see it as the orange buff on my unit frames. Players affected need to make sure that they're using personal cooldowns before the ability goes off. I shouldn't have banished that fucking.
I can have a way to gather these very easily.
The final mechanic of this fight is that Echelon will periodically cast Blood Torrent at a random player's location. This ability shows up as a pool on the ground that deals high damage whenever you stand in it. Lasts for about 75 seconds, so you want to make sure that you're not baiting those towards the middle, because it can make setting up for stone shattering leaps awkward.
If there is the next one. I had to burn my bubble though.
12 minutes is like decent time, but
We should be okay.
we gotta fucking melt some stuff.
Hmm?
I said we gotta melt some stuff. Dude, I hate this Apex. Does not want me to fuck myself at all. If I was playing this awesome, I'd be upset. We're coming up on the final 2 pools of the dungeon. It's going to be the pack with the 2 Houndmasters, then also the 3 dogs, as well as the and then the final one with just 2 casters and 2 Dark Blades.
Dogs will die, we can go in.
Well, don't. You can't. There's someone dead.
No, but like,
I'm out of range. It's too far away.
I got actual healing.
I need a target.
He should be able to go, right?
Yeah. Looking back, there's a lot of downtime that we could have cut out of the run, whether it's just silly deaths in between things or just our grouping of mobs that prevent us from killing them as effectively as possible. So again, we're going to follow up with our interrupt order, and then we also want to make sure that we're dodging the deadly thrust here.
I don't have a target.
Do I cast it now?
Hold off. Can.
Since we already killed the 4-pack of mobs and dragged them to the previous room, our only goal in this room is to make sure that we kill Vi. That way we can use a different buff on the boss. So we're going to go ahead and pre-pump that haste, that way we can use it into the CDR buff. I double cap these gargoyles here, that way we can make for quick work on this boss fight.
What happened?
I put flagellation on right? So I can't stack my buff.
The pain shall enlighten you.
The third boss in Halls of Atonement is a fairly straightforward patchwork encounter. She'll alternate between casting Pelts of Power and then Volley of Powers, at which you want to make sure that we're kicking the Volley of Power to minimize the maximum rate damage.
I'm out of range.
The pain
3 minutes
shall
for
enlighten you.
next room, and we are probably fine.
We want to make note of the 4 lanterns surrounding the rooms. Occasionally the Elise will spawn a ghost that fixates on a single target. If you just run the ghost into the lantern, it'll go ahead and capture it, but until then it's going to pulsate AoE damage.
The pain shall enlighten you.
Mage is gonna fucking destroy that room. So
When the ghost is consumed, Elise will cast Anima Fountain, which creates big swirlies on the ground for the player to
never mind,
dodge.
the hunter. The hunter's gonna destroy that room.
Yeah, just gotta make sure you tag everything.
I mean,
The
I don't
pain
have enough
shall
shields to
enlighten
take everything.
Too far away.
I'm die already.
The pain shall enlighten you. Needs me.
This next room is incredibly tricky, especially on fortified weeks. So everything with this room is linked together to Inquisitor Sigar. So we want to make sure that we kill the Tormented Souls first, because Sigar is going to go ahead and cast the Dark Communion, which ends up taking health from them and healing
The
himself.
hunter.
Once you kill the Tormented Souls, you'll notice that the manifestation of Envy spawns. This is an additional mob that fixates on targets and can typically make this room pretty tricky. On weeks like Explosive, it'll spawn extra bombs, and on a week like Necrotic, it'll go ahead and affect multiple players within the party.
Ow.
Once all the groups of mobs within the 4 pews here are dead, we can go ahead and single target Sigar
Whoa.
and proceed on to the last
alright,
boss.
alright. I can live with that. Maybe. I don't know if I can. Oh, I'm fucking gonna die, so. Fuck.
I agree with Brandon in the fact that Will wasn't bad off here. We could have made use of the 10% damage reduction.
From the fuse.
We could have done a better job of mopping up on the mobs before continuing to pull more.
Yep.
In general, you'll notice we just got overwhelmed in that room there. When we go back to do the second attempt and clear it again, you'll notice that all the manifestation of envy despawn and is much easier.
Man, non-necrotic week, we timed that.
There's like nothing left. Though, I accidentally hit this. It's fucking us up. Let's go, boss. Damn. We would have fucking timed that shit so hard. Everything's dead.
We end up making quick work of the Inquisitor as all the mobs are dead, and then move into the final boss of the dungeon.
Nothing left and nowhere for me to run. Who knows? You guys might pull out the biggest pumping you've ever pumped. The history of Pump Town. You got this. This is fucking not. This ain't tyrannical. Come on. Don't give up yet. We got 3 more minutes on this boss, on this mini boss, but we got this.
Being back with our second plus 20 attempt, we felt pretty confident going into this one. The key itself didn't feel relatively difficult, it was just the downtime in between and all the small little blunders that added up.
2 minutes for this boss. Easy. Easy. Absolutely.
It's important when situations like this happen that you still just keep your mindset in the right place and finish the key as best as you can.
I'm out of range. I am losing my patience. I need to get closer.
Bullshit. That's not where he was facing.
The final boss in Halls of Atonement has 3 main abilities. Digma Pride, which is a tank dot that ramps up damage. Defensive should be used here, as well as Alias should keep an eye on their tanks at the end of the dot. Unleash Suffering is a frontal cone that should be dodged by all players. It's pretty well telegraphed.
Dude, we are melting him.
The last of his main abilities is the telekinetic toss. That was the most bullshit fucking line. He'll go ahead and pick a statue and toss it in a single direction. It's indicated by it turning red, and then also the direction that the statue is facing.
Don't think we have it red either. Outside of you.
His 3 main abilities are broken up by his final special combo called Chamberlain's Chorus. This combo is completed at 70% and 40%, at which he starts to pull all statues towards him. Now when I died, I was moving out to avoid the damage from this, but got clipped by one and bounced into a second one, thus flying. Very unlucky. He's going to go ahead and push all statues away from him at that point, and then start channeling the Ritual of Woe, which he aims red beams at all 4 statues, at which all party members here should intercept the beam in order to reduce the damage. All beams that are soaked by a player, the player takes the specific damage. If there are any unsoaked beams that hit the statue, there's pulsating raid damage, so it's very important that you make sure to interrupt all the beams, otherwise it's a quick wipe.
Damn, that was bad.
Damn nice try.
Undoes you. You are beneath my contempt.
Doing good because it means we're not far from getting there. You know what I mean?
I'm out of range.
Even though we failed to
Can
attempt
do
the
'em.
key, it's important to understand that, like Brandon said, we're not far off.
That's horseshit.
Patience.
We'll go ahead and study the key, make sure that we tighten up anything that happened in this run, and translate it to the next run. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is part 2 in the mini-series. Look forward to 3 uploading soon. And leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you guys want to see next. And remember, search, and you'll find resonance. Thank you guys.